A special event is happening on December 11th and 12th, a very immersive sort of film installation. We'll hear more about that in a moment. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to Sam Hewison, who's the producer of this event from Dog Milk Films, and Chris Cochrane-Friedrich, who is the director of this event. Welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Now, tell me all about this All Circles the Moon and Dirt Shines in the Sun. Sounds very interesting indeed. What's it all about?
So I guess it's a kind of deep dive into the archive of Dstv, who are a group of friends in Toraja in South Sulawesi, Indonesia. And they've essentially spent the last 15 years documenting their region. They're like local villages. They've set up a kind of TV station where they broadcast all the villages surrounding. And yeah, they've been documenting and essentially collecting all of this incredible footage. And we've been working on a documentary over there for the last 4 or 5 odd years. And Victor from Dstv, he was one of the first people we met and ended up putting us up for months, you know, on our stays. And we spent lots and lots of time with this camera crew, and we were super interested by their process and their work. They do incredible work, and we really wanted to, yeah, I guess highlight and show what they've done, what they've kind of achieved over the last 15 years.
Sounds really interesting. Yeah.
So what we'll be presenting on the 11th and the 12th is a 4-channel documentary that is made up of their video archive.
So how will that work? When you say 4-channel, does that mean 4 separate screens? How will that work?
It means there'll be 4 screens lined up next to each other, and they'll each have 4 different images simultaneously.
Well, not always simultaneously, but, you know, kind of intercut with each other, with a big surround kind of sound system.
I can imagine technically this would be really quite challenging, and it's interesting you're using Abbotsford Convent as your venue.
Well, obviously because we're using 4 screens, a regular cinema won't do, and in order to get the most out of it, we need a really large venue, as wide as possible, to get as big as screens as possible next to one another. And we have previously exhibited our work at the Abbotsford Convent, and we really love the spaces that are there. So we're super excited to go back.
Okay. I've had a fair bit to do with the Indonesian cinema and with the Indonesian Film Festival and so on. So it's interesting how you're dovetailing in Indonesian experience and photos and film, etc., with Australian experience. Is there a particular aim in mind there in doing that?
Well, I guess, so since we've started working on this documentary about 4.5 years ago, we've really wanted to kind of get to know the Indonesian cinema scene, well, especially the Makassar cinema scene. And our first trip there, we were immediately introduced to an arts center called Ramada Art Space, where we've met a few remarkable young Indonesian filmmakers and film lovers, 2 of which were integral creative forces on this particular project. So over the last year, during the making of this particular film, we've tried to set up a remote cultural sort of creative exchange program with these 2 filmmakers, film lovers, yeah, so that we can kind of create some kind of a sustainable creative bridge between Makassar and Melbourne film communities. It's sort of in its infancy now, and this is our first sort of experiment in that project.
That's a terrific aim, because I've always been interested in cooperation between Australia and Indonesia, and especially in terms of cultural events and film and documentaries and so on. So it's great that you're able to do this. And I can imagine that this has a huge amount of potential in terms of cooperation between the two countries.
Yeah, we really hope that it can continue and hopefully be in person next year is the aim. If COVID allows, to link up more and more kind of screen and sound artists and create work together and do research together. Sam and Afifa, the exchange was between four of us. So Wahyu Al Madani and I made this film together, and Sam and Afifa did the exchange through research and did all of these interviews with these incredible kind of filmmakers, artists, academics, activists, and they've put together all of these interviews in Indonesian and English that will be up on the website soon for everyone to read.
Oh, excellent, excellent stuff. Chris, I must ask you, what were the challenges you faced in coordinating between the four screens, the images and the, I suppose, the narrative, so to speak, of the documentary?
It was a super interesting process, and one I found like incredibly inspiring. I think Wahyu, who co-directed the film, is an incredible editor and somehow seemed to manage thousands upon thousands of clips, of individual clips, in this never-endingly kind of expanding timeline that we had. And just over a series of months and kind of endless conversations, we started putting these pieces together and creating a kind of narrative around all of this footage. And yeah, it was a really beautiful process. I think it's paid off.
I look forward to seeing it on December 11th and 12th at Abbotsford Convent. Sam, tell me about Dog Milk Films and how that is involved in all of this.
Well, Dog Milk Films is, I suppose, a group, a collective of young filmmakers, emerging filmmakers from Melbourne. But now, more recently, we've started branching out. Well, not branching out, but rather just sort of including two of these filmmakers, Afifa and Wahyu, who'd helped out, who've contributed and collaborated with us on this particular project. So I guess Dog Milk is like, I suppose, a formalization of a group of filmmakers who like to work together and who, I suppose, like to watch films, make films, and talk about films together. So everything that we do under the Dog Milk name is just about that. It's just about sharing filmmaking, film watching, and yeah. So we organize a variety of different screening programs. We make films together. We watch films together, and it's really grown in a really awesome way in the last 2 years. We managed to, during the lockdowns, we managed to sort of translate or transpose our community-focused short film screening programs into what we called VOD Milk. So it was a fortnightly online short film screening programs that were on our website, where every fortnight there was a new programmer. And to continue our conversation with our Indonesian filmmaker friends, we would subtitle every film into Indonesian, and we would have Indonesian film programmers programming Indonesian short films, which would also have English subtitles sometimes for the first time. So that way we could kind of sort of have an open to and fro between us about the films that we love and the sort of new ideas around films from young filmmakers across the world.
Very good. It sounds like a terrific project. Chris, yeah, it's great. Chris, I must ask you about other films or other things you've been responsible for, because I gather this is obviously not your first filmmaking experience.
Well, it is in essence. We've been working on this documentary, as we've said, for a number of years, but this is the first feature project that I've co-directed. And yeah, that's super exciting for me and for Sam. I think it's the first feature project that Sam's produced. So, and it's the first feature project that Dog Milk has produced as a collective. So it's an exciting time.
It is.
But we've collaborated before on a number of different of our collaborators and co-dog milkers projects, such as John's, my brother's film. Chris has shot both of his earlier short films, both or three? Two. Also Paddy Hayes, Chris shot Paddy Hayes' short film Cuckoo Roller, which was at the MIF Accelerator program in 2019. And there's also Josh Peters, who did the sound for this, which is going to be a major part of this particular film. He's done the sound for, I think, 3 amongst some of those, and also Fraser Pemberton. Chris, you worked on his films as well. So we all just kind of chip in and lend a hand where we can. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Now, this is a 90-minute experience. And as I mentioned, December 11th and 12th. And it's great now that everything's reopened and cinemas and other events can take place. Tell me about how people can book tickets and what they can expect when they roll up at Abbotsford Convent.
You can book tickets through the Facebook event or on Humanitix. So the event is called All Circles the Moon and Dirt Shines in the Sun. If you visit the Dog Milk website, if you visit the Dog Milk Instagram or the Dog Milk Facebook page, you'll be able to find tickets there pretty easily. And it's going to be a fairly informal affair. It's going to look hopefully as much like a cinema as possible, just with 4 times the screens. And there'll be a small bar there, so you're welcome to come earlier and have a drink with us, or stick around afterwards and have a drink with us. There'll be 5 screenings over the weekend, one at 5 p.m. on Saturday, one at 8 p.m. on Saturday, then 2:30 p.m., 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. on the Sunday.
Sounds great. Tell me, what are the plans with this installation documentary afterwards? Will you be rolling it out elsewhere?
So the plan next year is to continue working on it. It's an iterative project in that we did this, we kind of exhibited this film in a multi-channel installation kind of context in Alice Springs in October. So we created 4 of these spaces that were based on spaces that we'd watched DSTV footage in, that people regularly consume DSTV footage in. So we created all of these spaces, and there was 16 televisions that you could navigate this space and watch this film in all of these different spaces. So that was kind of the first iteration. This is a 4-screen kind of screening iteration in Melbourne. And hopefully next year we'll work towards kind of making a theatrical kind of iteration that we can send to film festivals, etc.
Sounds like something that ACME would perhaps be very interested in.
We hope so.
If anyone's listening from ACME, come along, we'll put you on the door and let's talk.
That would be really good, because they have done some installations in the past and some other special events, so that could work. Sounds terrific.
Well,
yes.
If I may, just quickly, I think our next hope is that we can put on a few screenings or iterations of the installation in Makassar, in Toraja, and across Indonesia, if possible.
That would be fantastic, and to continue that cooperation between Australia and Indonesia, I think that's very important. Sounds terrific. I'm going on the Sunday, so I'm looking forward to seeing this. This should be very interesting. Just before I let you go, first of all, Chris, I must ask you, are you working on any other projects or films at the moment?
I'm currently kind of writing and thinking about other films, but this has taken up most of my time in terms of making films at this current moment. But next year, I hope to continue on other projects.
Okay. And Sam, I have to ask you, I saw that you were third assistant director on True History of the Kelly Gang and Nitram, which is an incredible film. Tell me about your experiences on those two films.
Fantastic. I mean, working for Justin with Justin Cozell is super great. He brings a really amazing energy to the set, and learn a lot from him and his just work ethic, but also his approach to working with cast and crew alike. He's super human, I guess is the best word for it. He's just such a friendly, approachable, whilst also like totally committed to the work. And my little brother was in both my little brothers and sisters were in True History of the Kelly Gang, so it was super wonderful to be close with them as well during the making of that. Yeah, they both were incredibly rewarding experiences overall.
What does a third assistant director do?
How long have you got? I guess we run the cast around, we run extras around. We're sort of the mouthpiece of the first assistant director, just sort of the dog's body, running around, sort of constantly on your feet, coordinating and communicating with every department.
A real experience. That sounds fantastic. Last question, Chris, have you seen anything else of late on in cinemas, on streaming, anywhere that has impressed you?
Put me on the spot. I haven't had time to watch films recently. What have I watched?
Even on TV?
I watched a really interesting memoir film by Frank Beauvais, who's a French filmmaker. The title of the film has escaped me. Just Don't Think I'll Scream. That was a super interesting kind of memoir film where he'd taken bits and pieces from hundreds of films that he's watched over this period of kind of isolation in Alsace, and kind of narrated his experiences and thoughts during that period over the top. That was really beautiful.
We'll be screening that actually for a dog milk screening program, hopefully in January. So keep an eye out for that. Looking forward to that one.
Definitely will. Okay.
I didn't know that, but that's great.
Oh, excellent. All revealed here on this Zoom interview. And Sam, what else have you seen recently that impressed you?
What have I seen recently? Over the last lockdown period, I've just kind of been sort of bathing in like Hong Kong kung fu movies. Just anything I can get my hands on. I just can't get enough of it. I can't believe I haven't gotten around this stuff earlier, honestly. Yeah. I guess Hard Boiled is the one that sticks out, the John Woo film. Just amazing. Can't wait. We're watching The Killer tonight. I'm so pumped for it.
Okay, sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, All Circles the Moon and Dirt Shines in the Sun, a special 4-channel installation screening at the Abbotsford Convent on December 11th and 12th. And we've been speaking to Sam Hewison and to Chris Cochrane-Friedrich all about it. Thanks so much for talking with me.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having us.
All the best.
See ya.